So, no homework. We're going to do quick atomic habits because I think we have a lot to cover today. So this, I skipped chapter 7 because there wasn't much there for us. So chapter 8, this is in the title of the chapter is How to Make a Habit Irresistible. This is about the second law of behavior change, is to make it attractive, okay? Yes, super. So we're going to just go through the summary, and then I want to focus on one technique. All right. So the more attractive an opportunity is, the more likely it is to become habit forming. That's obvious, right? That's what addictions are, right? Most of them, at least, most of them are associated with pleasure, right? Things that you're addicted to, whether it's a TV show or a food or whatever. Habits are a dopamine-driven feedback loop. You guys know what dopamine is? Yeah. It's not a drug.
Hormone, that's it.
Isn't it a neurotransmitter?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I meant that.
Yeah.
Is it not?
That does what? Makes you happy, right? Okay. When dopamine rises, so does our motivation to act. Now, this is a chiddush. Okay, this part is a new point, and he spends a lot of time in the book about it, but we're not going to dwell on it. It is the anticipation of a reward, not the fulfillment of it, that gets us to take action. The greater the anticipation, the greater the dopamine spike. So translating this into English, I saw it before it made the sound. No, it's animals. It's fine. There, you can put it. Yeah. Anyway, so you think that what happens is you get the dopamine from doing the activity you enjoy, but what he shows in the book, based on various studies, is like if you know you're going to do something enjoyable, the dopamine actually spikes before you do it when you know you're about to do it. And then when you do it, then that actually is not as big of a dopamine spike. So it's the anticipation that like gives you the feelings of happiness. Yeah, which is very Koheles. Was that?
Yeah, it is very good.
I mean, I guess what if you don't actually end up doing it, then the anticipation is not going to register in your mind as something that's really real, you know? But let's say like a clearest example of this, I think, is like the people who play slot machines, you know? So they get the pleasure from pulling the slot machine, even though they like, what are the odds they're going to win? Like not very much, but it's the anticipation that keeps them addicted to like, you know, I don't know what this is the motion for. Yeah, I think nowadays it's buttons, but you know, whatever. Yeah. All right. Now here is the technique. Okay. Temptation bundling. All right. Great. He's good at naming things.
Bundling.
Yeah. Well, the last one was stacking, right? This is. It's not though. He combines them. Temptation bundling is one way to make habits more attractive. The strategy is to pair an action you want to do with an action you need to do. Okay. So I'm going to read from the book, and he goes through examples. We'll go through the difference. We'll see. All right. You're more likely to find a behavior attractive if you, first of all, let me set the stage, okay? Habit stacking was focusing on the cue, right? Because you have cue, craving, response, reward. So habit stacking is a technique that has to do with the cues. This is a technique that has to do with the craving, okay? You're more likely to find a behavior attractive if you get to do one of your favorite things at the same time. Perhaps you want to hear about the latest celebrity gossip, but you need to get in shape. Using temptation bundling, you could only read the tabloids and watch reality shows at the gym. Yeah. Maybe you want to get a pedicure, but you need to clean out your email inbox. Solution, only get a pedicure while processing overdue work emails. Okay. Temptation building is one way to apply a psychology theory known as Premack's principle. Named after the work of Professor David Premack, the principle states that the more probable behavior will reinforce less probable behaviors. In other words, even if you don't really want to process overdue work emails, you'll become conditioned to do it if you get to do something you really want to do along the way. You can even combine temptation building with BJ Fogg's habit stacking strategy we discussed in chapter 5 to create a set of rules to guide your behavior. So here's a bunch of examples. The habit stacking plus temptation bundling formula is, after current habit, I will habit I need. After habit I need, I will habit I want. Yeah? You have an example that comes to mind?
I bite my nails, so do my nails like every other day.
Oh, okay.
They're not done right now. So I'll do like one coat of nail polish, and then I'll do homework, and then I'll do the other coat of nail polish.
Oh, good. That's exactly the strategy. Okay, here's a bunch of his examples. If you want to read the news, but you need to express more gratitude, after I get my morning coffee, I will say one thing I'm grateful for that happened yesterday. That's the need. After I say one thing I'm grateful for, I will read the news. And that's the thing you already want to do. So you're like inserting it in between. This is basically what you told me to do with the coffee, right? Because I needed, going back, after I make my coffee, I needed to drink water. I will drink water. after I drink the water, I will drink the coffee, which is what I want to do, you know? If you want to watch sports, but you need to make sales calls, after I get back, this is supposed to say from, after I get back from my lunch break, I will supposed to say call. I will call 3 potential clients. After I call 3 potential clients, I will check ESPN. Okay, one more. If you want to check Facebook, but you need to exercise more, after I pull out my phone, I will do 10 burpees. I always forget what a burpee is. It's some sort of like,
You jump up and then.
yeah, it's like a really exhausting thing. Yeah. After I do 10 burpees, I will check Facebook. The hope is that eventually you'll look forward to calling 3 clients or doing 10 burpees because it means you get to read the latest sports news or check Facebook. Doing the thing you need to do means you get to do the thing you want to do. So example of this from my childhood that my mom did, which worked really well. I mean, it's kind of my mom and the dentist office, okay? I don't know about, so I love going to the dentist, and a lot of people hate going to the dentist. And the reason why, you're looking at me weird. So you know why? So all from the age of 6 until the age of 16, I went to one dentist in the town that I grew up in, and the dentist office was dentist office at the top, and then they had an arcade downstairs with all free games. So my mom used to take me to the dentist office like 10 minutes early, play games, get my dentist work done, and then she would let me like play in the arcade for like 20 or 30 minutes afterwards. So I ended up associating dentist office with going to an arcade, and I ended up just like having a positive association to the dentist office. Now,
Waiting for way too long for an appointment you made hours ago.
yeah. It probably helped also that I had healthy teeth, so I didn't have to like get all the unpleasant procedures done other than like teeth cleaning, but like still, yeah. Okay, so this is, you see now the difference between this and habit stacking? No? Okay, anyone want to explain this and habit stacking? I'll call you in a second, Eliana.
Habit stacking is more like an already existing habit. Like even if it's not something you want to do, it's just something that you naturally do. You pair this with that. Or this is something that you want to do, like you pair it with that. So you'll want to do it. It's not just like you'll habitually do it. It's like you actually want to.
Right. That's one good explanation. I'm going to phrase it in terms of the cue, craving, reward, response, reward thing. Habit stacking is basically trying to address the problem of I won't start a new habit if there's no cue. Okay. In other words, it's very hard to just start a new habit in a vacuum. So you take a pre-existing habit, that becomes your cue that after I do this thing I'm already doing, then I'll do this new one. Okay. So it solves the cue problem. This solves the problem of I don't want to do the new thing. So you make it that if I do this thing, then I will get to do something I already enjoy. So that's solving the reward, the attractiveness problem. It's making this unattractive behavior attractive. The habit stacking is making an unnoticeable behavior noticeable. This is making an unattractive behavior attractive. It's solving 2 different needs.
But I feel like it uses a lot of discipline to tell yourself that you're not allowed to do something.
Yeah, this is Elisheva's problem,
Rambam,
which is that, at the end of the day, everything does need a certain amount of self-control, but what you're doing is you're offloading the self-control instead of just, I think most of us think of creating good habits as just willpower, like I just gotta get willpower, you know, and this is trying to take the willpower and attach it to like these tricks. And then once you implement the trick, then you don't need to exert the willpower every time because the trick just takes over.
After a few days, this will just be like,
Yeah,
you just do it.
exactly, yeah.
In the summer, I would always, I walk and I would always go for a walk. And the reason why I went for the walk is because I had to listen to music until I couldn't. And then I would just FaceTime people. So then I FaceTime
that's
people
good.
with walking. So whenever I FaceTime someone, I would go for an extra walk.
That's excellent job. Yeah, Eliana, what were you gonna say or ask? Oh yeah. Oh, nice. Okay, good. Yeah, it works out. I have one more example also with, just was in my mind. Oh yeah. So back in my first year of teaching, when I did not know how to do classroom management and it was in Hafter and like, I had a lot of really badly behaving kids and everything. So I used to have to like occasionally call parents for like disciplinary reasons. And I didn't like that, because it made me feel bad that I failed as a teacher to like control the class. And it also made me bad to like, it's not fun to call a parent and tell them that your kid was like creating problems. So what I would do is every time I had to call a parent of a child for a bad reason, I would force myself to call a parent to tell them how well their child was doing, which would make me really happy, you know? So it would, you know, I bundle it with something I wanted to do.
But the one I said about like going for a walk, is that the bundling, or I think it's more the stacking?
No, to me it sounds like the bundling, because you're saying you wanted to FaceTime people, right? And you needed to walk, so you made it that.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. You.
She didn't need to
Yeah,
FaceTime people,
Oh.
but she wanted to get in the habit of FaceTime.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so I misunderstood then. Yeah. Wait. So is it? But you
So you
didn't.
like walking, but you don't like
No.
FaceTiming, or you like FaceTiming?
I don't know. I think I would go for the walk either way.
I think it's more of an environment thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's also true. That you're right. Right. That's a good
Something
point.
that If anyone calls me, I would end up going for a walk, even if I already went for
Uh-huh.
a walk.
I see.
don't know.
This is like kind of relevant.
Yeah.
But like, why do you feel like you have to tell the parents if their child is misbehaving? Why is that?
To solve the problem.
Like the parents are gonna discipline their kids.
This was back in the early 2000s when parents actually
Discipline
disciplined the kids. Yeah.
When?
Yeah. I think that changed somewhere along the line. Yeah. Okay. Tשובה בין אדם לחברו. Okay, that was the topic that got the most votes, and by the most, I mean it got 2 and the other one got 1. And everyone said, "Oh, it's hard to choose," or they were just silent. Okay, so Rambam's. I forgot to ask to pass on the Rambam. Mishnah Torah. Yeah.
Oh, wait, here, you want to
Was
pass
this
the
mine from
questions?
last week?
Here, I'll give Ayala this one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't think I need one this
I'll
time.
do
You
it.
can see it from the bottom.
I like pink one. I think mine would be the first one here.
No, that's mine.
Yeah, that one's.
Cheers.
Yeah. You know what that's like? You know those what do you call it? The irregular shaped vegetables that they sell in stores. It's like your
Irregular shapes?
No,
Yeah.
it's not mine.
They're like the ones that are like cheaper. Like,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yes, this is mine. My
Yeah.
book here.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so we're going to 2:9. Hilchos Teshuvah, chapter 2, halacha 9. Oh, before we do this, what do you know about the difference between doing tshuva for something bein adam l'chavero versus doing tshuva for something bein adam l'makom? Like, what are the differences, and what are the procedures for doing tshuva?
I don't know where you actually have to talk, like interact with the
Okay.
person and ask them for
Okay, so you have to interact with the person and ask them for forgiveness, and what if they say no?
You have to do it again. It's multiple times you have to ask.
Okay, and then what happens if they still don't forgive you?
That is
and
their
that's their
fault.
problem.
Okay, good. So what we're gonna do is take that that recollection that you guys just said, or your previous understanding, and then we'll compare it to the Rambam. It's generally true, but the differences are interesting, and we'll have to go into those differences. Yes, that is also part of it. Okay, so who would like to read? Yeah, go ahead, Ayala.
In Teshuvah, below Yom HaKippurim, Chaperin, El Averos Sevin Adam L'Makom. So Teshuvah and Yom Kippur only are atoned
Yeah.
for sins which are between you and God.
Good. Now pause for 1 second, just because I don't think we've talked about kapara this year yet, right? So we translate English kapara as atonement, and understanding what it is, I think there's a lot of room for disagreement. But what is what does it mean to atone for a sin, just in a very basic sense? Yeah, it means to get rid of it. So kapara means one of my friends came up with the mnemonic. Do you guys, anyone remember kapara from the Shirashim?
Forgive, it's
Cover.
make peace.
Yeah, cover's one, atone is another,
Conceal,
and
conceal.
cover.
No, let's go on. Let's go on.
Cover.
Was it conceal, exile, cover?
No,
it's
No.
cover.
So
Size, cover.
I'm pretty sure I changed it in the Shirashim packet a couple years ago, because it used to say forgive, and it doesn't actually mean forgive. So it's atone, cover, and payment, to pay. You didn't repay? I don't think it's to repay. Yeah. So
Charlene is repaying.
I mean, there are several words that mean repay, but one of my friends came up with a mnemonic of kapara stands for CPR, which actually works out because it's like that, which is cover, payment, and removal. CPR. And you can remember that because kapar, right? CPR, right? So cover, payment, and removal. All right. So it is all three, right? So removal of the sin is the basic idea of kapara. What that means is hard, because based on what we've learned so far, what is the process that actually removes the sin? Teshuvah, right? But if you look through the halachos, there's all of these things where if you do teshuvah on a mitzvah aseh, you get instant kapara. If you do teshuvah on a mitzvah lo aseh that's not very severe, then you get kapara on Yom HaKippurim. Like your kapara, you've done Teshuvah, but you don't get kapara until Yom HaKippurim. If you do a Teshuvah on a sin that was chayav malchus, or sorry, chayav kares or misa, then you do Teshuvah, and then you get Yom Kippurim, and you have to suffer a certain amount in order to get kapara. And then if you had a Chil Hashem, then you need Teshuvah, Yom Kippurim, suffering, and then you only get full kapara with death. So like kapara is something separate than the Teshuvah itself. For Chil Hashem, yeah. Yeah, Chil Hashem is the one that takes the most in order to get kapara for. Yeah. Okay, so that's like the basic outline. So we're not going to go into that. I don't think like right now. Maybe if you're interested, we could go into it later. But that's what he's talking about for kapara. So Bein Adam L'Makom is what I just said. That it depends on the severity of the sin. But Bein Adam L'Chavero, Teshuvah and Yom Kippurim only atone for Bein Adam L'Chavero. For example, go ahead, keep going.
Like someone who eats something prohibited. Oh, Baal Be'ila Asar, or someone who's forbidden relation.
Right.
And things like that.
Yeah.
But sins that are between man and his friend.
Yeah.
Like.
Let's see. Do you know this from any place? Chovel. I don't know if it's at all. Say again. No, good guess. It means wounded. I'm trying to think. Don't Israelis have like an expression chaval? Oh, it's with the vav. Yeah, I've never seen it written. I just hear Israelis say it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a chaval. Everyone's a chaval.
Yeah, but you're saying it's with a vav though. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I don't really know.
Really?
Yeah.
Not like, oh, it's a wounded one. Like.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, goes lower. He steals from him.
Yeah.
And things like that.
Yep.
He's not forgiven forever.
Yeah, never forgiven.
So he gives his friends what he's obligated to him. But and he wants it.
Close. So rotzeh means to want, but then we also use it when we're talking about Hashem, like ritzeh, v'achlitzenu, or like, yeah, it's related to the same source. So the way it's typically translated is appease, to make them like in a state of like ratzon about it. Okay. Now you're going to notice when we go through these Rambams, he uses different phrases. You guys said that you have to ask them for forgiveness, which we'll see is part of it, but he's saying you have to appease them. So what does that like?
That sounds so much easier. Like.
So that's what I was going to ask. I'm not sure. What is it easier to get appeasement or easier to get forgiveness?
I think it's appeasement because forgiveness you have to directly like talk about the thing that you did wrong itself. Whereas appeasement kind of sounds like you don't really have to talk about the sin itself, but you just have to make it.
Well, right. So you're talking about like what you would have to do to get there. Yeah. Okay. So let's just think about the difference between the result you're trying to achieve. Okay. So like to achieve. So what do you think is easier, achieving forgiveness from someone or appeasement? Like. Yeah.
Because it kind of sounds like it's.
You know what? Let's ask Google just to see what the English definition of appease is. Okay, Google. Define appease.
Here's the definition of appease. Pacify or placate someone by acceding to their demands.
Okay, so pacify, which means to make someone what?
Quiet.
Yeah, at peace, right? Or placate, which means to like how do you define placate?
Also
Giving in to.
But giving in a good way.
Okay, Google. Okay, Google. Define placate.
Here's the definition of placate. Make someone less angry or hostile.
So make them less angry, okay, or hostile, and then yeah. So that's what it is, right? So it's a pacify and make them less angry versus forgive.
Forgive is like they totally don't care about.
Yeah, I think forgive is harder, right? Forgive is.
Did I say appease is harder?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Oh, I thought in my brain I was.
Okay. Yeah. Because that's why I was curious what your theory was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know, whatever. But I think you would think which one? I also think appease is easier. I think forgive, that really means that they like, I forgive you, and I like completely, whereas making them less angry or at peace with it, like you hear people use that expression, like I don't forgive the person, but like I've made peace with them, So right now he's saying appease, okay? And then he's also saying something else which you didn't mention. What else do you have to do? Give them back what you owe them, right? Now, that's not going to be true in every case, but certain cases definitely. For example, if you stole something, you got to give it back or give them the amount that they have. If you cause any sort of damage, you have to repair it. Okay, so you need both.
Most of them are like being aren't like, oh, I hurt your friend or I stole
Yeah,
something.
they're
It's
not
like
physical.
Right,
Yeah.
it's mostly emotional hurt, right? Yeah, exactly. Okay, all right, so let's see now the details. Oops. I think this is part of the same halacha, right, Ayala? You want to go on?
אף על פי שהחזיר לו ממון שחלפה בו, even if he returns to him the money that he owed him,
Yeah,
צריך לרצותו, he has to appease him,
yep.
which only men who shame follow and ask him to forgive him.
Yeah, now that's interesting, okay? It's both, right? So you need to appease him and ask him to forgive him, okay? Let's finish the halacha and we'll see more.
Even if you only
So I always mistranslate this as to belittle, but then I realize it's not katan, it's kanat, right? So hiknit is to afflict or to antagonize, even if you only afflicted him with words, yep.
Sarah lepaiso,
Yeah. So lafayis is another word for appease, and I translate it as appease because I don't know what the difference is between laratzos and lafayes. Okay, we'll have to just figure that out maybe from context. And lifgoa bo, that's a hard one. Paga? No, that'd be my no. Dummy. What?
Isn't that like a plate? What am I thinking of?
Oh no, we do use it for that. You're right. We do use it for that. We do use it for plague, right? Literally, it means to encounter. Here, it means to encounter like in a approach. I think it would be a better word. You have to approach him. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, until you forgive
It
him.
sounds annoying.
Yes. Oh, it gets more annoying. It gets more annoying, right?
No, not like for you, but like if someone was coming. Like,
Oh, for the other, yeah, for the other person, yeah. Okay. So far, what do we see new here? We see that it's two things: appeasement, or maybe three things: appease, laratzos, and lifgoa, and then asking for forgiveness. And then he mentions your case because, or not exactly your case, but the one that you mentioned, because people can think that this only applies to doing actual damage. But he's saying even if you only hurt them verbally, they still have to do this. Okay, even though you can't like pay anything back. All right. So let's do the full procedure now. Okay, so then he goes on. Who else wants to read now? Okay, go ahead.
His friend doesn't want to forgive him.
Right, so if his friend doesn't want to forgive him.
Right.
Yeah.
He brings him a line.
Yeah, literally a line. Yeah, I said group because I don't think they have to like stand in a line, but yeah,
Okay,
right.
Of 3 people that he hates.
We have to Larecha, his friends, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Upogin bo makshin mimenu. And he, what do you say, encounters him
Yep.
and asks from him.
Yeah. And then obviously it's talking about asking for forgiveness, right? Yeah.
Lo nisra tsa lohen, mivi lo shnia vishlishit. And if he doesn't want it from
Yep.
them, he brings them a second and a third time.
Okay, so how many times are we talking about so far?
3.
4.
Wait, 1.
Appease.
First, you go on your own.
Uh,
If that doesn't work, you bring 3 friends. If that doesn't work, you bring 3 different friends. If that doesn't work, you bring 3 different friends. And then we get to this next point. Yeah, okay. Yeah, embarrassing for...
the person
is not forgiving.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I thought you were saying the other way. But it's for both. Yeah, right. And if you think about it, like let's say I offended Adina, right? Okay, or like I said something hurtful, right? So I ask her for forgiveness and she doesn't forgive me. So what am I going to have to do you think in order to get the 3 friends, like practically?
Tell them
I'm gonna have to tell them what I did and convince them to go with me, which probably means that I'm gonna have to convince them.
that it has
So
to
it's
do with
really
them.
not what you did.
Okay, that's really bad, and
You regret it.
that I really am sorry, right? In other words, if I offended Adina and then I go to you guys and you guys clearly see that I am not sorry about it, so then you're not going to go with me, right? Like, especially if they're your friends. And it's not just strangers, it's your actual friends, you know? So that itself says a lot. The fact that I managed to convince 3 of your friends that like, I'm actually sorry and I need your help to like make peace between us, you know?
3 of the person's friends, like the person who did the bad thing, or three of the person friends with the person who's
The victim. Yeah, I tried to make it clear by adding in the words the victim and the sinner here, because the pronouns get really confusing, right? Yeah, right. So if the victim isn't a piece, he, the sinner should bring a second and a third group of the victim's friends. Yeah. Okay. So you do it. I ask for forgiveness. Then I bring one group of friends, another group of friends, and another group of
It
friends.
kind of sounds like you're getting people involved in your tshuva that have nothing to do with that.
Yes. And what do you think that does?
Yeah, I think it's like less than
I feel like it's
Well, first of all, it's not lashon hara because it's for a constructive purpose, and it's not lashon hara because it's trying to make peace, right? It's not just not negative. I mean, well, I guess it's not just not negative, and it's lashon hara about yourself, right? I mean, you're having to tell them what you did.
Oh, but then if she never.
They're not saying
forgives
lashon
you,
hara.
But if she never forgives you, then it makes them think about her bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and whose fault is that?
Hers.
Yeah, we'll read about that. Well, actually, let's finish reading the halakha, and then we'll.
What if her friends are saying, "Oh, don't forget this person," but they really want to? Like, I feel
But
like
then the next time you wouldn't want to go through
Right.
the drama again. You wouldn't want to go through this whole
So
process.
what I would say, I mean, and I know this is, I don't want to offend anyone in the room and then have to go through this whole procedure here, but like I'd say if a true friend wants what's best, right, for the person. So if you got friends who are just going to make, who are we talking about? Were we talking about, were you guys telling me about like, wait, hold on.
You like find
Were you,
out-
no. Were we having a discussion before class one day about like people who talk about each other outside of the room when one of them leaves?
I think-
Maybe this is at a Yom Kippur,
Oh, no,
Rosh Hashanah
this
meal.
is here.
No, it was at, I know what it was. It was at Rosh Hashanah meal, and we were talking about, oh yeah, I know who it was. Sorry. It wasn't this group. It was someone else. They were saying how like she was talking to some non-Jews at college, and like she noticed that one of them left, and then everyone just like gossiped about the person who left, you know? And she was like, why do you have friends like this, you know? Now, I'm not saying that that's the same as the drama thing exactly, but like, if I went to you guys and you saw that I was really remorseful for doing this to Adina, and then you wanted to create drama.
But not even that, not even on purpose, but like you have good intention.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But like it just comes off weird. Like let's say you came to me and I thought you really weren't genuine. And
Right.
I go to my friend and be like, "Oh, this guy's like faking that. He's trying
Right.
to apologize to you, but it's not real."
Right. So I mean, look, that could be one of the purposes of why you do it with multiple groups. You know, because the likelihood that I am faking it
More than one.
for more than one, like it just becomes
Like,
yeah,
why
and
would
that
you go through all that effort?
exactly right. Yeah, and also like I think people have an awareness. Like you've all had to apologize, I'm sure, for things that like were very hard to apologize for, or like you know, we all know how hard it is. So like if you see that I'm going through all this personal trouble and like humiliation to like go through with this, it's a big deal, and that's why let's finish the halacha. Go ahead, Leah, you're reading. Lo Ratza.
Lorata, Minifo, Beholim.
Yeah.
If he doesn't want it,
Yep.
you rest.
And again, here I think Ratza. You could say if he doesn't want it. I think here it means to appease. If he doesn't want to forgive. Yeah. Oh, I guess I translated want. Okay, whatever.
Okay, you rest him and walk away.
Yeah. Maniach here means
You get away.
you leave, you abandon him, right? So then if the victim still doesn't want to forgive, then the sinner can leave him and go away.
V'zeh shelo machal hu hafoseh. And the person who didn't.
Exactly, right? And I think we can see now how that's the case. In other words, it's human nature to it's hard to forgive people, right? But if there have been all these times, and this is like what Adina was saying, that it has to be 3 different situations. In other words, like it doesn't mean that I asked Adina for forgiveness, and then like I've got like 3 friends of hers waiting behind a bush. Oh no, boom. Oh no, boom. You know, it's like we're talking 3 different occasions. Like if I did that, that would basically just be 1 occasion. You know, that's like not 3 different meetings. You know.
Whoever asks any of you to forgive,
Yeah.
I'll have like 3 people like
So you know, so it would be freaky, yeah. Then you wouldn't forgive out of shock, you know, or creepiness.
Sometimes there isn't like a step that's like, how do you know that your friend is upset about something in the first place? Like, what if you're predicting?
Good question. So this actually is part of another halacha in Hilchos Deos, which is the mitzvah. None of you were in my Chumash class ever.
You
never
never had
taught
a
our
class
grade
like
any
this.
comments.
Oh, because that was the year, because I stopped teaching 10th grade Chumash. Forgot. In my mind, oh, no, I stopped teaching 12th grade Chumash. I forgot already. But we did a unit on this. That's why I'm bringing it up. Is there's a mitzvah of lo sisna es achicha bilvavecha, don't hate your fellow Jew in your heart, which means that if I'm going to use us as an example again. So if I do something that wrongs you or upsets you, and you as a result have a hatred towards me for it, so then it's usher for you to hold it in, and what you have to do is you have to confront me about it. So it is a mutual responsibility thing. Yeah. And there's like halachos about it, about like at what point, how much does she have to hate me to the point where she would be in violation of this lo sase.
You or are upset at you for that?
Hate and upset are fused here, and we're not talking like a burning hatred of like Nazis or something. It's like a level of like anger and resentment. So how much do you think, at what point does the halacha kick in and say that she has to speak to me? That's a good guess. No, it's actually, yes, is that if she hates me so much that she tries to avoid talking to me, so then that's when halakha says, nope, you got to talk to me. Okay. And so there's a responsibility on both parties, is that the wronged person, the victim, is responsible for approaching the wrongdoer to inform them of what they did and ask why and try to initiate a dialogue. Because many times there are cases where like the wrongdoer is just not aware that they hurt someone, you know? And I'm not saying that that makes it good or okay. Like, it's just, you know, we're really egotistical and oblivious sometimes, and we just don't realize what impact our words can have. So that's the closest thing I know of in halakha, where like it says that she should.
But otherwise, if someone does not confront you, then you should not go out and try to ask for forgiveness for any mistake.
Are you talking about like? Are you asking like, for example, like the type of thing that everyone does before Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, of like asking like, did I do anything wrong? Do you forgive me?
I'm saying, let's say you go to your friend about a specific thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I stole a pencil from you a while ago.
Yeah.
That's just an example, but if you think that they might be upset about that, so you can.
Oh no, so that's definitely a good thing for you to do. Yeah.
Even if you know that they didn't confront you and say, I'm upset.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, seeking out, yeah, because I think especially because some people feel like, oh, it was just a pencil, like I'm upset about it, but it's not a big thing, you know, but they actually are upset about it, but they just don't think it's worth it. Yeah, if you think you did something to wrong someone, then that's a good thing to do, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, like I actually did this, I'm not saying this is good or bad, but I just don't have the thing of like going to literally every person I know and saying like, are you mochel me? Like, you know, I feel like that's not the best way. Like, I don't know. That's just not my thing. Right. Yeah. But there was a person who like I had a personal relationship with and a professional relationship with, and we were very frank and honest with each other. And I felt like maybe there was a chance that I was too harsh at some point in the year in disagreeing or like in criticizing or whatever. And so I actually like texted the person and said like, I know there have been many times in the year where like we've had heated discussions, and like I can't think of a specific incident, but I'm aware that it's entirely possible that I went too far, and I'm trying to be more aware of like the impact that my words can have, and like ask for forgiveness on that. So that's the type of thing you're talking about. Like if you have some sort of idea, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We make fun of like all those people that text people before like Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, but like how are you supposed to, like, everyone generally like wants to go into like the year with like forgiving people and like apologizing. So like how else are we supposed to do
Well, so that's what I'm saying, is that like I'm not saying that that's a bad practice. I'm saying that there are lots of potential problems with it, and one of the potential problems, I think, is because people know that they're just doing it. Some people are just doing it so that they can get rid of their guilt, you know, or you know, in other words, the very fact that they're doing it makes it come across as not sincere, you know. Like that's why I don't know if you know anyone like this. I know a couple of people who, if someone out of the blue just asks them, like, you know, are you mochel me? They'll just say no.
Yeah.
You know, and it puts the other person in a position where like, well, why not? And then if the dialogue goes, they'll say like, well, for what? You know, like it almost becomes a ceremonial thing that is not connected to real human interactions, you know? So regarding your question though, I think that it is possible. Like I've seen other people make an actually like genuinely worded thing of saying like I know someone who's like very active on social media, and they said like, I'm really bad at reading people, and I also am very loudmouthed, and if I said anything that like upset you, please reach out to me and let me know so that I can make it right, so that like comes across as genuine, so I think a lot more depends on how you do it, not
really accomplish.
Yeah, no one's gonna actually do that.
I mean, maybe it's genuine, but like, what does that accomplish?
yeah, so they are hoping that it actually will accomplish something because that's the nature of their social media relationships,
Maybe it will change like how you perceive like your interactions with people, because if you know that you have to forgive,
That's also true.
forgiven for something,
Right.
I forgive someone without talking to them. Like, let's say I see that post on
Yes.
social media, and then I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm not mad at John anymore. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand his perspective.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Yes,
Or
you can
have to say
definitely.
straight up like, oh, I was mad about this. Now I get it.
No, you can definitely forgive someone without like having any conversation, and that's actually some people have the practice as part of their Kriya Shema al Hamita to say a little paragraph where they forgive everyone. Again, whether saying that every day is actually like true or whether it's just like hopeful, it's a nice idea. Let's actually read a little bit more because he does talk about the way that we should forgive. So he says, I'll just read the rest. V'im haya rabo, if he's your rabbi, holech uba afilu elef pamim. You have to approach him even 1,000 times, which practically means forever. It doesn't mean like you're keeping count, like, oh, finally I got to 1,000, achim chalom until he forgives you. Yeah. And so that's a special exemption to this halacha where you go beyond. And remember, going to your rabbi with what? With friends. Yeah, now, at a certain point, you're probably going to run out of friends and you're going to have to start reusing them, but yeah.
Like who's coming this side?
Yeah, okay. So now the Rambam switches in the next halacha to talking about forgiveness. So he says, Asur la'adam sheyihyeh achzari v'lo yispayas. It's prohibited for a person to be cruel and not allow himself to be appeased. Now, there's a question that always comes up when we start this halacha of what if I can't forgive them? Okay, like there are things that are very, very hard to forgive, like someone murdered somebody, right? Like, so I think there are two ways to read this Rambam. One is that it's usher to be cruel and not forgive, but if it's not stemming from cruelty, then it's a different case. And I don't think anyone would say like if someone like like there are these famous like public things where like a Holocaust survivor forgives like a Nazi guard or something, and most Holocaust people, I'm sure, survivors didn't. I wouldn't call those Holocaust survivors cruel. Like it's obvious if they torture and kill everyone, I wouldn't call that cruel. The other way to read it is a much harsher way to say that by not forgiving someone, then you're being cruel. I don't think that's the proper reading. Anyway, so it's also to be cruel, not let yourself be appeased. Ella yihyeh noach lirtos v'kasher lechos. That's a phrase we use about Hashem, right? What does it mean? Easy to appease and hard to anger. Okay, yeah. Uvashah shemavakesh mimeno hachote limcho. And when the wrongdoer asks him for forgiveness, mochel belevav shalim uvenefesh hachafetza. He should forgive with a full heart and a willing soul. Now, this is he should. Okay, it's not. If you forgive someone, like, look, let's say like I wronged Adina and like she doesn't fully forgive me, but she says I forgive you in order to like move on with it, that still counts.
For you?
That will still count for me, yeah, because I have the right to take her at her word. Like I can't see, only God can see into her heart, So if she says like I forgive you, like then I don't. Not necessarily, because she might actually want to move on from it and then like work on the stuff on their own. Like I think it repairs the social breach. I was gonna say, by the way, that is another thing. Going back to the 3 friends, we forgot to discuss what's the purpose of the 3 friends. So definitely it convinces the victim of your sincerity that you did Teshuvah, but also it creates a certain peer pressure, literally a peer pressure. Like, and again, halacha recognizes, we talked about this in the going off to college presentation, that like, your actions are very influenced by your friends and the people around you. And like the Torah wants to create peace. So using friends to do it, even though they wouldn't have done it on their own, is a positive tool. It's using peer pressure in a positive way. Anyway, so you should forgive with a full heart and a willing soul. Even if you afflicted him terribly, and sinned against him repeatedly, lo yikom v'lo yitor, which means shouldn't take revenge and shouldn't bear a grudge, right? And that's another isser when you're asking how are you supposed to know that they did something wrong, So like if it gets to the point where the person who was wronged is tempted to do revenge or tempted to bear a grudge, those are also like, that's halakha kicking in and saying like, no, don't get into that zone. Like you have to go and like seek for forgiveness. And then he says something very interesting. Zehu darhan shel Zerah Yisrael. This is the characteristic of the offspring of Israel, meaning Jews, v'liba manachon, and their upright heart. Aval hagoyim ar le'lev hein. You know what Arel means?
Oh,
Uncircumcised, yeah, right? It's like Moshe Arel Safasayim. That's probably where you heard from. The goyim of uncircumcised hearts are not this way. Ella the abraso shamra netzach. Their wrath is preserved forever. Chenu omer aha givonim. Likewise, it's stated about the givonim, who are a group of non-Jews. Lefi shalon machalu v'lo nishpaisu. V'hagivonim lo mi b'nei Yisrael hema. The givonim are not from the children of Israel. So what is he saying about like the refusal to forgive? It's a Jewish thing to forgive, and it's a non-Jewish thing to not forgive. So that's an extreme statement. We do not say that about every midah, right? We don't say that like, Jews are,
You say the Jews have a lot of rachman.
we do say that. That's true, and we say Baishanim, right? There's a trio: Baishanim, Rachmanim, and Gomlei Chasadim, right? Are those the three?
I think so.
Yeah, right. So this is another one on the list. Yeah. Which is interesting. Again, it's another a tool that you can use. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be born Jewish because I'm not born Jewish, but I feel like people who are born Jews do take a certain pride in like their Jewish qualities sometimes, And so if you find yourself in a position where you're refusing to forgive, like Rambam is basically saying you should be viewing yourself as like you're acting like a non-Jew, and a real Jew forgives, One last halacha, which is interesting, which hopefully will not come up in your lifetime. If you sin against your friend and they die, okay, not as a result of your sin, but they die, yeah. Before you have a chance to ask for forgiveness, maybe asara b'nei adam, you bring 10 men, minyan, right? Uma'amidan al kivra, and stand them around the victim's grave. V'omer bifneim, and you say in front of them, Chatasi l'Hashem Elokei Yisrael, I sinned against Hashem, God of Israel, v'li plonize, and against so-and-so, like the deceased, she'asisi lo kach v'kach, and I've done such and such. Okay? V'im chayav lo mammon, and if you owed him money, yachas ziro lo yorshav, then you return to the victim's inheritors. Lo haya yodea lo yorsh, if you didn't have any inheritors, or you don't know of any, yanichu bebesin v'yisvada, then you leave it in besin and you confess. Now, what's weird about this whole ceremony?
The person is dead.
The person's dead.
Can't forgive
They can't forgive you,
and
right?
They're probably not.
what's this chesed shel? What's the thing?
Chesed Shalom, right. But their Chesed Shalom is not dependent on them having a changed feeling about you, right? Whereas forgiveness is.
They're just,
It also brings God into it.
It does bring God into it. So we have 1 minute left. Any theories as to like what you're accomplishing here? Because you're not getting their forgiveness. So like, how does this accomplish anything? And the clue is in the fact that you have a minion.
You're showing other people like how to treat. Being
Okay, that's part of it,
Seriously?
right? But why minion, right? What does it mean? Like, why not just three friends or something? Yeah. So in other words, like this, is each of us has two identities. We have an identity as an individual Jew and an identity as a member of the community. Now, when the individual dies, there's nothing you can do to get forgiveness from that individual. So halacha attaches to the other thing of trying to repair the community breach. So you make a public vidui where you say that you wronged Hashem by wronging one of his his people, and you're acknowledging it to the community and achieving forgiveness through that. And that's the closest thing you can do. Yeah. Okay. Have a good day.
You also do this at a family member's funeral.
Say it again.
You also do this at a family member's funeral.
Interesting.